Hi everybody, it's Russ and my Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the little bell notification so you're made aware of any time we put new content on. We've got lots of great guests coming up. I know I always say it, but that's particularly true today. He's probably the most decorated most decorated fan we've had on, and probably will ever be our most decorated fan we interview. He's won 5 Australian Open titles. He's on 5 US Open titles. He's won Wimbledon. He's won 3 Paralympian medals. I've got to take a breath now. He's currently 2nd in the world on singles and he's 4th in the world on doubles. And regardless of all that, he's a massive West Ham fan. It's Andy Lapthorne. Hi, Andy. How are you?
Hi mate, how you doing? I'm good.
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Appreciate you taking the time, and I like the framing. I don't know if that was really you decided that particularly, but obviously you're just below the 1980 signed shirt. That hasn't been missed out there.
Yeah, I thought it would be a nice background for this
It's
one,
lovely,
so
thank you.
strategically placed.
It's better than my daughter's bedroom, so that's better. That's better. Can't put no West Ham attire up here just yet. I am working on it. She has been to a few women's matches, so hopefully soon she'll adorn some pictures of Mark Noble and Declan Rice and behind there, but we'll see. Anyway, Andy, we're not talking about my daughter's bedroom. We're talking about West Ham, and obviously what we're doing at the moment is interviewing fans all over the world, lots of different ages, about their memories of West Ham and also the players that meant something to them. So obviously you've been a West Ham fan for many years. We've had you on the pitch quite often. I'm usually up in the box, so I don't usually see you. So it's actually the closest I've probably ever seen you is, albeit via a Zoom call, don't know. Andy, in terms of your West Ham fan career, so to speak, what would you say be sort of your earliest memories of West Ham?
I mean, just my dad's a West Ham fan, so that's where it come from, and just sitting at home and watching the games with him on TV, and just falling in love with it really, and then really started to get hooked the year before and the year of the run to the FA Cup final, the Gerrard final that obviously none of us will ever forget. And just going to the games, starting to go to the games regularly around that time. Obviously having a disability in younger years made it quite difficult to get to games. But as things started to get better for me and I could walk some short distances and stuff, started to get to more games, went to some games with my dad. And just from that year on, really, I was hooked and just always wanted to follow my dad's team. And from then on, getting to go to Upton Park as soon as you went there once, that was it. You was hooked, and the rest is history, as they say.
Exactly, very true, very true. And obviously, since sort of the 2005, 2000 onwards, lots of things have happened, lots of experiences, matches, getting on the pitch half time, being interviewed, things like that. What are your sort of fondest memories of West Ham in sort of since your earliest ones, obviously?
I think the cup run to the final there was amazing. The whole buzz around Upton Park in the games in the lead up to that was really good. And then obviously as I've got older and going with my friends, and we go home and away when I'm not away playing tennis, going home and away. So the League Cup game at Spurs, 2 League Cup games at Spurs, one at White Hart Lane and one at Wembley. They're sort of standout ones. And then Everton away, went up there with about 8 of my mates, and we was on the way out the door I think we were 2-0 down. They just got a penalty and we was walking out the door. Lukaku missed the penalty and we went up the other end and scored and ended up winning that one 3-2.
Yeah.
And my doubles partner at the time was a Everton fan, and he was in the ground, so that one always stands out. But just the friends that I've made just from Upton Park, the people that I stood with in Trevor Brook in Lower that I still chat to now, and now obviously at the Olympic Stadium, the people around me, you get to know the people around you, and it's great fun, and I love the social aspect of it, and just it's great fun. It's just one big family, and it's something that I couldn't live without, to be honest.
No, and that's what's coming through loads when we're interviewing people. It's not necessarily the games that stick in the memory. It's sort of the community and family feel and as you said, you probably know everyone around you. You probably don't. Some of them they don't even know your name, but you know them, if that makes sense. Like, you probably walk past them, you go past them on in the shops or whatever, you wouldn't recognise them. But 3 o'clock, there's Bob with his funny hat, and there's Bill who has his Bob reel, and that's what it's all about. I think that's what everyone's missing at the moment, and that I think sadly won't be available for a few. Well, who knows until when? And I think when we do all get back to some sort of normality, and everyone's together and London Stadium's full, and the first time that bubbles, everyone sings together, is going to be like sort of amazing. I think that's going to be a really, really cool moment. Very simple, like when that last bubble was at Upton Park, and it was like, it's not unparallelable, but I just think everyone's just desperate to get back into the social side more than anything. I think everyone appreciates that side more than the football. You see the Bundesliga at the moment, and it's, very empty and very echoey. It's not very exciting, but it's not about the football. I think it's about, as you said, the social aspect and the family aspect. But anyway, that will happen when it happens. As I said, what we're doing is we're interviewing people about their favourite players or their worst players, or the best players. It's up to them. But the idea is we try and get everyone sort of hammers 11, we call it. So we try and keep it to a 4-4-2. It's not a problem for us. Our generation, the older generation, it's a bit more of a tricky thing because they have I'm learning about what a left half is. No bloody clue what a left half is, or an inside, or a centre. Was it an inside half, left forward? It's like, I don't know. I don't know them. So no matter about us. 4-4-2. We try and basically we say, as long as you've seen them alive, basically it's been alive to have seen them play. So obviously we couldn't put in, obviously, Jeff Hurst, but we could put in Diego Tristan, for example. Seems fair swap. And the last one is, it's your 11. So you can talk about whoever you want. It doesn't have to be the best players. And to be honest, invariably, everyone's 11 aren't necessarily going to be the best players, because it means that fans' favourites, people close to their hearts, they gave their all for the shirt, might not have been technically the best players, but doesn't matter when it comes to this. So in terms of the Andy 11, who would we have in goal? Who'd go between the sticks for your team?
So first off for me is going to be Fabianski.
Yeah.
Just I loved the signing when we signed him, and since he's come in, he's been great. Probably the best goalkeeper I've seen live for West Ham.
Yeah.
And just solid. And then when you've seen Roberto and then Fabianski comes back in, you learn to appreciate him even more. So I'd probably start with Fabianski. I was thinking about Shaka Hislop. But I think Fabianski just edges it. Yeah,
and it's one of those things. I'm a great believer of the adage: you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And obviously, when he's not there, when he wasn't there last season, you aren't more appreciative of it even more than you do, because he was such a. It seems like I didn't realise. I think I underappreciated the role of a goalkeeper in a team, because when the goalkeeper's on it and he's solid, the back four or the back three, whoever we played, they're more confident. Midfield have more confidence in the defence. The strikers, so that less people are tracking back, and it just seems the whole team. It's a pivotal role, and as you said, we had Adrian. It's just Xhaka, but I totally agree. I think Fabianski technically is the best goalkeeper I've ever seen us play. Because I wasn't around for like Phil Parks or things like that. But for me, Fabianski is the man. Yeah, great shirt, Andy, to start with. Okay, let's go left back. Who are we going to have left back for you?
Right. So my defence is going to be a bit of a weird one, because we're going to have 3 centre backs and a centre defensive mid in there.
Sounds great.
But we're just going to go with it. So I'm going to go for Rio Ferdinand. That's my first one. Love watching him play. Love what he's about. Love watching him on TV now. And whenever we see him and he's at a game at West Ham or whatever, he's always giving the fans a clap and stuff like that. Seems like a really top bloke. So, obviously what he went on to do in the game is second to none. So he'd probably be my first defender that I put in there.
Yeah, great shout. Totally agree with that. Seems a lovely bloke, and as you said, he still has a real affection for West Ham. That's true from what people have said when they've met him and are, in a lift somewhere, and you see, but these stories are coming out, and not everyone's heard these stories from Sean Wheatstone, who met Rio in a lift in the Shard, and Rio was like, I'm West Ham, and they did a cross start. You know, all that stuff is lovely. But yeah, Rio, good shout. Who else is going to go in that defence then, Andy?
We're gonna have Ginger Pele in there,
Yeah.
James Collins. I think every West Ham fan will probably have him in their team. 100% week in, week out. Just a man mountain. Someone that he's a proper centre half, what I call proper centre half. For me, when I watched West Ham, I liked it when we had a centre half like Collins and then a ball playing centre half. When we had two ball playing centre halves, I didn't like it as much. So when he was in there heading balls out and stuff at the end of games, I always had a bit more confidence. And again, he got what the club was all about. So he's someone that I always loved watching. And even when we let him go, I thought we should have probably given him another year, to be honest, because I think he could have done a job for another year. And those are the type of guys that you want to have around the club.
Oh,
so
definitely.
Ginger Pele gets in there next to Rio.
Yeah, that's a great shout, and I totally agree with that. And you know, there's only a few which are people that I would call adopted Cockneys, and I think Collins is one of them. You know what I mean? He just gets it. He still lives around the area. He came over the bridge, so to speak, and he just got it. And fans warmed to him. And as you said, I think the second period was when fans appreciated him a lot more. Maybe because he's older, so a little less, you know, I think the bald head probably helped as well, you know, and but as you said, he took his shirt off, and they showed his last game. It was a clip on YouTube I saw the other day, and you saw him crying when he knew it was his last time he was going to be playing for West Ham. And the fact that when, you know, I remember that game actually, Mark did a thing on the mic to say we should offer him another year, and that type of stuff is I find so much more interesting than obviously fans, you know. But if your peers want you to stay and your peers think and your colleagues think that you're the man, that basically reads more into it than obviously the fans. But yeah, Ginger's in. Who's next?
We're going to go Winston Reid next.
Yeah.
Obviously, last few years not been great for injuries and stuff, but the goal against Millwall straight away, that for me puts him legend status. A lot of people talk about the Tottenham rivalry, but for me, it's still Millwall. So for him to score that goal, he was always going to be in my team, and then scoring one of the last goals at Upton Park puts him up there as well. For a good few years, he was world class.
Yeah.
So for me, him and Collins next to each other, I think that's a decent partnership.
Yeah, tasting, as you said, I think you're right. There was about 2-3 season period where he was just like, I think Liverpool was sniffing around for him and stuff like that as well at that time, and he could have played for any of those clubs. And as you said, unfortunately, injury, it's too often the case, isn't it? The injuries tend to impact their, you know, particularly West Ham players, it seems, their career sort of longevity. But yeah, okay, Winnie's in, and who's going to be the last piece of that defence?
Right, so if it was a 3-5-2, this would work better, but it doesn't matter. So we're going to put Declan Rice in as the last one. Sent me a message after I won the US Open, which was unbelievable.
Wow.
For him to take the time to send me a message on Twitter and stuff like that, and love watching him play. I think he's going to go to the top. He gets some sticks from other fans, but I think within the next 2 or 3 years, he'll prove a lot of people wrong. And we watch it every week, what he does and what he brings to the team. And if he does stay and we can keep on with him, he's definitely a future captain. Whether that's going to happen or not, who knows? But definitely he gets into my 11. One of our standout players over the last couple of years, and someone that hopefully we can build a team around in the future.
Exactly. And one of the, obviously, you know, from the academy, you know, West Ham fans love seeing an academy boy come through so prominently. And as you said, I think there's been a lot of criticism of him from other like teams' fans, and I think it's basically jealousy, because he's for that role, that defensive midfield player, he's the best. He's his best English sort of defensive midfield player we've had for many years, and I think, as you said, he'll push on. And I think him and Mark together, as Mark's obviously, it seemed to has helped Dec basically. It's similar to I see how Scotty Parker was with Noble. It was sort of similar, sort of elderman and a youngster, and it seems to be sort of hopefully working its magic again. So great. That is a solid set of defenders. Doesn't matter what formation, doesn't care. They're all all over the place. Right, let's go midfield then, Andy. Left wing, or it's up to you what you talk about.
Right, so this was hard because we've had some good midfielders over the years, but I think I've got my four. I think we'll start with Joe Cole.
Yeah.
West Ham boy. Obviously went to Chelsea and done amazing there, won some big trophies, then come back. And just loved watching him play. The skill. I always remember his goal for England. I think it was against Sweden.
Yeah.
That goal was amazing. And someone I loved watching, especially live when I used to watch him live, was really skillful player and someone who I loved watching. So he definitely gets a nod to go in there as well.
Great shout. Yeah, totally agree. One of the most skillful players I've ever seen with a Clayton blue shirt on. Joe, who's next?
So next is going to be, we're going to go for Payet.
Yeah.
Dimitri Payet, obviously fairly recently played for us, and that season at Upton Park was probably the best player I've ever seen. The way he played, and just you were always in every game with him in the team. I remember going up to Blackburn with a few of my friends for the cup game, and he just played unbelievable.
Awesome. Yeah.
Remember being at Bournemouth away when he played unbelievable. There were so many games where he just turned it on and was just something special and something that we haven't seen before. And you would pay your money, you pay your season ticket money just to see him play. And it was unfortunate the way it ended. And it's one of them where there's so many games that I watch now where I think, if only we had Payet here for this last 10 minutes. And he's just that type of player that you knew he could pull some out of the bag if he really needed it. So he definitely gets in there because he's probably the best West Ham player I've ever watched in my lifetime.
Yeah, and there's not many Ballon d'Or nominees who play for West Ham.
No.
I think he was like 15th best player in the world that year, and it was like, and obviously the Euros. I can't remember the last time that we had like a player who performed like so well in the Euros as well. So Dimmy, and that season, that was the stars aligned for that season, didn't it? The team played well. Slav was in charge. The way his man management of Payet that season, and he just said if he went there and if those goals, Palace and stuff like that, if those goals hadn't happened, I don't think that season would have been as special as it could have been. Okay, great shout. Okay, Payet and Joe, that is tasty already. So, could you imagine who's next?
The next is the easiest one, Mark Noble.
Yeah.
Captain, been around the club for years. Probably one of my favourite players. Good on the ball, good leader. One of us. What more can you say, really?
Exactly, it's true. Mr. West Ham, isn't he? As you said, he'll be one of those. He'll be one of those, and there's very few of those types of players around in the league now. Those one-man clubs, and he will be a one-man club, and he will end up coach and part of the management team, and just because I don't think he'll be able to leave the club for more than 5 minutes. But there's not much you can say about him. He's Mr. West Ham. He's Mr. Modern day West Ham. For people who didn't see, Billy Bonds and stuff like that, like we did, he's our Billy Bonds, really, isn't he? In terms of being Mr. West Ham. Brilliant. Okay, Nobes, who's going to be the last piece of that midfield puzzle?
No, this one was hard because it was between two players. I love Trevor Sinclair, and he was someone that I was looking to put in, but just had to go with Yossi Benayoun.
Oh yeah, good shout.
Some big goals. The goal against Tottenham. The way he played, the way he glided around the pitch. Part of that cup team, and just someone I loved watching. The way he played, the way he would dribble with the ball. Much like what Payet could do, he could get the ball at his feet and go at people, and I love watching people like that. Another player who I was thinking about putting in who's very similar is Matty Everton.
Yeah.
Those type of wingers I used to love watching, and get the ball and go at the wing back, cross it in. That's the type of football I love watching. So Benayoun just gets a nod yet.
And it doesn't happen, and that wing, like traditional wing play, don't seem to happen anymore. Now you always play the wingers on the wrong wing, so they have to cut inside, so just so they can have goals. But actually, there's something about, and that's true with Matty as well and Trev as well. They used to just bomb it down that wing, left or right, their right wing for their right foot, and chip it and cross it in. It's so simple, but it was so effective. So effective. That is a tasty midfield there, Andy. Right, okay, let's go strikers. Who's gonna bang in these goals for the Lapthorne 11? Who's gonna be your first striker?
So, first of all, is going to be Carlos Tevez.
Yeah.
Just what can you say? Saved us. Another person who got it. He was only there for a short period, but he got it, and he still gets it now, even when he comes back. It's not very often a foreign player gets it, but he seemed to get it straight away, and always respectful when he come back. He almost didn't want to score against us, it seemed like a lot of the time. But some of his goals that he scored at big times and the passion and stuff and the quality of him, for me, Tevez has got to go in there. I loved watching him play that season, and it was great to see him. As short as it was amazing to watch him play.
Totally. And as you said, not being, I mean, obviously you think like, Ginger and stuff like that. They got it. It's very rare that a foreign player, there's a couple of foreign players, but the ones that just got it, and he got it straight away. And as you said, obviously, famously when he came back and sort of reignited that whole cross hammers thing, which no one seemed to do until Carl. Apparently some people did it in the 70s, but no one did it about 30 years until he came back playing for Man United, playing for a sort of a rival of ours, and still he was cheered as if he was the first name on the team sheet for West Ham. Yeah, totally great. Agree with that. Okay, who's going to partner Tevez up front then?
And then last of all, Mr. Di Canio.
Yeah.
Just everything I love about a sportsman, being a bit crazy. It's a bit like what I'm like on a tennis court at times. I was in my younger days, bit of a loose cannon, but that's what made him who he was. And just amazing player. I'll never forget that goal at Old Trafford when Bartes was asking for the offside. I remember going mental with my dad. So that's also a big childhood memory, that goal. He goes in there, and then I think that front two, I mean, what we would do for them two up front these days together.
Plus the midfield. Plus the midfield as well. I'm not being funny. This will be. I've said it on a few times where this would be first match of the day. That's for sure. Yeah. It might be a 5-0 win or a 5-0 loss. Obviously, it's away from home, so you'd have to put something else instead of Paolo. Anything north of Watford, but and what to have someone like that with that sort of skill and passion. And again, he's the other foreign player I can think of who got it. He still has an incredible affiliation for West Ham, and he does these little Facebook videos of him singing Bubbles in a 1950s West Ham shirt and stuff like that. That's Paolo. And I think what's good at the moment now is obviously watching. Obviously, there's no live football, and not live Premier League football, I should say. Obviously, we're watching back all the old stuff, and seeing Paolo's just, as you said, such an enigma, so eccentric. I'll rewatch the Bradford City game again, and that just was epitomised everything to do with Paolo in a 90-minute period. And the Arsenal stuff, and when he had his shorts on backwards for the Arsenal game, and he's just mental, absolutely mental. But I loved him, and I think everyone did. Yeah. And what's nice is obviously people of our generation, Paolo was our, I know I said, but he was our like Devonshire. He was our sort of, he was our sort of skillful player. And even people from an older generation put him in the team alongside the Brookins and Billy Bonds and stuff. It shows obviously the impact, and really that again reaffirms why it's good. It's lovely to know that we were around to see him as a player. And he was absolutely nuts. You wouldn't put him in charge of a football team or anything like that, but absolutely nuts. Andy, that is a pucker team, and it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. It's been lovely. And obviously, thank you to everyone for watching. You know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Watch them. Watch everyone. We've got loads more coming in. Until next time, guys, take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.